Hi, this is Brad the Impaler of the Dinner in Hell podcast, and what you're about to hear is part 1 of our return episode about Crucifixion. This is part 1, part 2, coming up.
Who we listening to?
Dinner in Hell Band!
Woo! Here we are. We're back. The band is back. The audience is back.
Oh, it feels good. Feels so good.
We got nothing new except for some furniture. I mean, the aquarium.
There's a bit of a remodel. Some great mood lighting in here.
I just wanted to say it's great to be back. We took a little break.
Mm-hmm.
We usually drop our show on Sundays.
Yeah.
We took 4 Sundays off.
We hope you've all had time for what we call the Dinner in Hell remedial course, where you catch up from the beginning.
The first 28 shows we retweeted.
Now that you're up to speed, we will give you an honorary bachelor's degree from Dinner in Hell University. Go ahead, draw that up on MS Paint however you want.
Marker.
Print that bad boy out, crayon,
Sharpie.
acceptable, and just plaster that all over your workplace and your resume and just watch the riches pour in.
We also re-released our first episode in a better sounding version with more material that wasn't edited out by our original editor that is no longer with us.
We have severed ties. It was not professional. It was 100% personal. We're not going to get into it here, but if you follow my secret dark web blog, I'll get into it a little bit more there. But yeah, it's sort of like a remastered director's cut by our crack, in-house staff. They've done a great job with it.
Darker Web podcast. We're just going to go dark web. We're going to go after that dark web Bitcoin audience.
Speaking of the podcast, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, where 2 amateur historians talk about history's atrocious underbelly. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, the stalwart, scholar and gentleman, Ron Maiden.
Hello. Yes, it's me. In person.
Ron, we're back from this break. It's time to kick it off. I guess this is Dinner in Hell Season 2, The Revenge.
Yeah.
How are we kicking it off? What's Episode 1, Season 2 about?
Today we're going at... We had this one... We've been sitting on this one since we started.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 35 episodes ago. And we took a break. We wanted to come back strong. We've been holding this one in the back pocket. We're doing Crucifixion.
Oh!
Execution method known as crucifixion.
Yeah, this one's a heavy hitter. This one is a heavy topic.
Today we're going to learn about how one is crucified, why they're crucified, and some famous people who have been crucified from the past.
The answers may not surprise you. Now, it's funny that we're doing Crucifixion, the first episode back from the break, because in a way, it's sort of like our resurrection from the break.
We're like, move this boulder out of the way, God damn it. Try to get out of this cave. Or tomb.
Yeah.
Was it a tomb or a cave?
Both.
I pictured like
a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
We're talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Joe's kid.
Mm-hmm. We should make a distinction here too.
Joe.
Yeah, we'll have some referential material from the Gospels, and I did look at some early Christian writings from within, the first century that were a little bit closer to Jesus' death. But what we're going to be going off here is mostly the historical Jesus.
We're just talking about Jesus, the man who walked the earth.
Yeah, Jesus.
And why he was executed.
Jesus of Nazareth.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to be trying to stick to the more, academic kind of information that we have about the man who lived.
Right. I am a person that's not educated in this. You had a Catholic high school?
I did.
See, I was public and I never went to church, so I don't have a lot of knowledge. Although on Jeopardy, I'm like, boom, Genesis, boom. What is this? Like, I just guessed because I listened to Iron Maiden back in the day. We're like, oh, what is Revelations? 666.
For it is a human number.
So I'm like counting on this episode and the research we did for it. I learned a lot about why and, the ins and outs.
Yeah, there was plenty of stuff that was new to me. A pretty big thing, too, that we'll get to.
Like, I always thought Pontius Pilate was like this badass Top Gun pilot until... And now I'm reading Wikipedia and I'm like, oh, he's that guy.
Like, yeah, all of a sudden your like image of him in a bomber jacket is just shattered in your mind.
Sweet sunglasses.
Driving a motorcycle along the freeway. Mach 2 with his hair on fire.
License plate says Pontius.
Yeah.
It's just like Pontius.
He's always doing wheelies and playing beach volleyball with other young, sexy Romans.
We're not just going to talk about Jesus of Nazareth, though, right? We got other. We'll talk about some other countries that did it besides these Romans, like the Greeks did, the Japanese did it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We're not just going to focus on.
This isn't the Jesus episode,
right?
Because I'll be upfront. I don't think that my personal opinion is that Jesus probably was not also God. However, Jesus is I think Jesus is pretty dope. Like, I'm a fan of Jesus's. I think he was a cool dude.
Because I already know why. Because after we get to it, I'll bring this back up.
Okay.
I'll remember, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure we'll have some thoughts to share.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
We're going to be delicate, right? Or we're just going to be factual? I don't.
We're not
going to talk about parting seas, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be very delicate. We may reference some of the more interesting myths that pop up, but not too many. We're going to stay pretty close to factual on this one.
We're not discussing any of his powers.
Yeah, none of his wizardry will come up.
Okay.
But so I guess we'd better get started off with what crucifixion exactly is. Some of our audience members may not be aware of the finer points. We're talking about a very brutal, very public execution here, folks. And that's on purpose. It's conducted with the express purpose of horrifying and terrorizing the onlookers, the witnesses to the execution. They really don't want you to do the crimes that they crucify people for. It's meant to be a deterrent because it's so horrifying.
It's like an advertising billboard of whatnot. Don't be friggin' uprising on us now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let this man be a reminder.
Yep.
But I mean, besides that part of it, it was a humiliating and slowly painful way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crucifixion is...
to the victim.
Yeah, it's a very, very bad way to die. It may not be, the flashiest. I'm thinking about the wheel. That has some pizzazz. Having an elephant step on somebody, that's got pageantry. That's got drama. Crucifixion is... what calls to mind is it's Dr. Dre and his verse when he says, no black fist is just that gangster glare. That's like crucifixion. It is not flashy, but it is just stark and terrifying. Very slow, very painful. And, that's where we get the word excruciating from. It means in Latin out of crucifixion.
Yeah. It was on Jeopardy not too long ago, before we even were doing this episode. Yeah.
See, we knew we were going to do the crucifixion.
Now we're ripping off Jeopardy.
We missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise we would have had another one that we would have gotten right for the Dinner in Hell Army out there.
As soon as that thing's reran, I'm posting on Twitter.
On top of the pain and slowness as far as the horror goes, this is a very public, very humiliating experience. Now, imagine, you're hung up there in the desert sun.
What are we hung on?
Beating down.
Let's talk about what we're hung on.
Well, there's a lot of variety in the types of materials that were used for this. It went anywhere from a tree. People would get crucified just directly to a tree if that was the most convenient thing they had.
Freaking trees. Like, God damn it. I had to have perfect branches for the freaking crucifixion. If the tree grew like this, they wouldn't use it. But the tree probably had branches out like arms for the arms to be freaking tied to, right?
Or not even necessarily. Because often people were crucified to just a single pole.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So in cases of that, the victim's arms would be outstretched above them and either tied or nailed into the tree.
Thank you.
Yep.
For painting that picture. Okay, so that's how you crucify someone to a tree.
Yeah, so you could be nailed up basically into anything. Any type of thing. A tree, fucking a really tall wagon. It could be anything. They'd just nail your ass to it if they were going to crucify you. Yeah, like whatever was around.
On the impalement episode, didn't we talk about how they were just like Asher and Asher Paul just had dudes on spikes?
Yeah.
Right? Yep. It wasn't crucified, but they were up on display.
Yeah.
And they weren't dead. They weren't dead either. They were like slowly dying. You know?
And that's also similar to crucifixion.
Right. As a warning, everything, yeah.
But the crucifixion could be significantly slower than impalement. Crucifixions could last for days.
Yeah, but could you imagine you were saying now we're tied to a tree in this hot Mediterranean sun?
Yes.
Holy shit. Could you imagine now, like, if they had iron and it was a metal cross, like made out of, picture like old iron rusty, like railroad tracks, they get rusty. Like, big ass metal cross gets hot in the sun. Like, fucking tied to, or no, they just have holes drilled in it. Goes through the hands. So he's stuck to the.
The nails were probably iron. Those got pretty hot.
I'm just trying to step up the crucifixion game here with my modern, mindset.
Well, I don't know. There was no mention of any iron crosses, but iron plays into it. Sometimes, and in not every case, in some cases, the victims of crucifixion would have their legs smashed by an iron cudgel.
Describe a cudgel. I didn't look that up.
Like a club.
Okay.
Just a big hunk of iron, basically. They would just smash their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so this would do two things, which could be good or bad, I guess, depending on from what perspective you're looking at this. But this would speed up the death. So you get your legs smashed, you can't hold yourself up, you're going to die quicker, and you're suffering horrible injuries and bleeding and all kinds of whatever.
Because as your body sinks, your shoulders become stretched more as your torso lowers down the cross.
And your chest muscles.
And it's hard to breathe, right? And
yeah.
You have to actually. Were you saying you actually have to pull yourself up physically to take a breath?
Yeah, because your chest muscles are so hyperextended when you're just dangling like that you have to lift yourself up some just to take a breath. That's why we'll get to the causes of death a little bit later, but. The asphyxiation is the most common one, and it's because you eventually get too tired to lift up, and then you suffocate.
Because you have to breathe all night, so you're going to lift yourself up in your sleep?
Yeah, you're not sleeping. You might, if you pass out, you're not breathing, you'll die.
Right.
So, people were awake for this entire experience. If they fall asleep, I assume they die.
And this is humiliation, so let's not act like the people aren't throwing rocks at your ass, too. Well... Fruit.
That may absolutely have been the case, spitting on you. Yeah. Imagine, like, Cersei's walk of shame.
Yeah.
So, probably a lot of that. But the other humiliating aspect of it is, generally you see a lot of crucifixes depicting Jesus, and you see a lot of artistic depictions of crosses, and the victim's generally wearing a loincloth. That is the generosity of the artist, because people being crucified were definitely naked. They were completely naked. Now, I don't know about all you guys, but that jacks up the horror just a little bit for me. Being exposed in that way is somehow worse. Like, it doesn't seem like it should make it any worse. Like, you're about to die anyway, but it does somehow make it worse, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, could you freaking imagine all the artwork that exists? if we like if we get the Dinner in Hell time machine, we go back in time, and we change all art to depict him nude, and he has like this friggin' penis. It's like
yeah, that would be weird to see like on everybody's necklaces and stuff all the time.
full bush.
Well, I probably shouldn't get into what I am guessing about the Jewish rules about grooming.
We are getting real blue here. This blue humor. This is like with a Friars Club roast from back in the day. We used to get real raunchy.
Well, yeah. So you were talking about the causes of death. You know how you die from it. Well, Crucifixion's interesting in that way. It's more or less like the choose-your-own-adventure book of executions. It's like there's so many different ways that you can die from it. And, it's like turn to page 12 if you want to have a fucking pulmonary embolism. Like, turn to page 47 if you want to have a heart attack.
Hypovolemic shock. That is when your body loses so much bodily fluids.
Yeah.
That your heart can no longer pump fluid out to the circulatory system, and your organs fail. You get that.
Yeah, that is
because you've been draining out of your holes that are in you from like the guy that speared you maybe a couple times.
Yeah, sometimes that happened, sometimes it didn't. And I imagine you lose a lot of blood after you get your legs smashed. Smashed sounds like it's not just broken. It sounds like it's like real broken.
So going back, the way you're fixed to this cross is your either wrists are tied to the cross beams behind you, or there's a nail sticking through your limbs.
Yeah.
And then they do your feet together, and they put one through both of them. So it's like 3-nail job.
Usually it would be 4. Usually the feet, if they were going to be nailed, would be nailed to the sides of the center pole. And as a matter of fact, in the sole archaeological evidence of that fact, they found the remains of a crucified person with an 11-inch nail driven directly through their heel bone.
Was this a university in Israel?
I don't know.
It's like the only... Yeah, I watched a video on this.
Oh, yeah, I don't...
Yeah. The guy pulled it out. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, because they couldn't unattach it, or what? They couldn't pull it out of his foot because the tip had bent. Was that the same thing?
I think they found it in a tomb.
Yeah. Because otherwise they would have wanted to reuse the nail. I mean, nails weren't like mass produced. You know, so somebody had to make that by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are like gutter nails, like long ass, thick.
11 inches long. Yeah, I mean, you could also die to dehydration. You're up there for a couple of days, man. By the end of that second day in the sun with nothing to drink, and I mean, you might be in trouble.
You were talking about how we were talking about how the weight of your body would, and the gravity would pull you down, and that would make it difficult for you to breathe. The Romans apparently would put this little thing on there, like a seat, to where you could kind of sit up on with your ass and prolong your life several more days. It's up to you. Like, it's up to you, man. How long you want to hold on to this?
Man, I think I'd be slumping on purpose. But I give up. That's what I do.
It was called a sedile or sedile or something. Sedile, I called it.
Again, I don't know if that's better or worse. It's hard to tell. Because it slows it down and it makes it less, excruciating. But by the same token, like, you're probably not getting out of it. So, like, you're just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, you could yell down to the people below, like, God damn it, this hurts. Look at this shit, man. You don't want to do what I did.
Yeah, but there's probably people, like, laughing at you and shit.
You're like, why are you laughing? I'm up here with freaking getting dehydrated up here. Yeah, there's a raven picking my head.
People in biblical times didn't have podcasts to listen to. They had to get their entertainment somehow.
Yeah. That's what freaking Tommy Lee Jones says in No Country. They're like, why'd they torture him, Sheriff? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe the television was broke. Freaking. You ever seen that?
I never saw that.
Great lines from Tommy Lee Jones.
I should see.
Everybody has great lines. It's great.
I like the Coen Brothers. There's no excuse why I haven't seen it yet.
He's like, if I don't come back, tell my mother I love her. She's like, Llewellyn, your mother's dead. He's like, well, I'll tell her myself.
Yes.
He walks out like, holy shit, this dude's awesome.
Except the line is nonsensical. Obviously, he knows his mom's already dead. Why would he say that? He's a dick.
Full of shit.
He's a dick. He's just trying to set up himself for a cool line. He's pretentious.
Yeah. It's full of dialogue. It's great.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. I gotta check that out.
You'll love the killer in it. Anton Segura, you'll love that character. He's badass.
Well, there is another cause of death for crucified people that would happen from time to time that I found especially interesting and hadn't considered. And that is death by predation by wild animals.
Yeah.
That's real scary. I think that might be the worst end.
Eyeballs first.
Yeah, you're nailed up, man. There's no way to defend yourself from like crows and shit. Hungry crow like lands on your face.
What's the best part of crows eating your eyeballs first?
What?
You don't have to watch them eat the rest of you.
I suppose that's true.
I just made up that shit on the spot. If you want to hear more jokes, go to my comedy show. This weekend I'm doing a 9 p.m. show.
Where at?
Open mic night. I'm just kidding.
The Chuckle Hut down on 5th.
Laughs a lot. It's Sir Laughs a lot on E-Course and Van Born.
Well,
so what shape? I know you said that you'd be tied to a pillar or you'd be tied to a tree, but they were also all these crosses are depicted as a small lowercase t.
Yeah, there's those we've talked about, sort of like the like jury rigged crucifixion situations of trees and like random shit out, but they had purpose built ones, absolutely, and these came also in a variety of flavors. There was the crucifix, which you'd most likely see, the crucifix with Jesus on it with the lowercase t. Those existed. There was also a cross that was shaped like a capital T with the cross beam at the top. That was the most common.
So did the head just lean back on the top of it? Sorry, I leaned my head off mic.
Yeah, probably something like that. But I mean, you're probably slumped down to where you're still like your hand. Yeah, like your head's you're not getting above your hands.
If they put that little foot perch or the little butt seat, the Roman style.
Yeah, that might work.
Then you can keep your head up there, but.
Yeah, but then it doesn't even stop there. There were also crosses that were shaped like capital X's and crosses that were shaped like capital Y's.
Ramses on Game of Thrones, like the fillet dudes on X's.
Yeah, those existed, and like for the Romans for example. Now Jehovah's Witnesses stand out among Christians, amongst other ways. They actually believe that Jesus was crucified on what's called a crux simplex, or the single stake variety of cross. They think that the crossbeam was invented by Emperor Constantine later on. That would have been like year 400 and some change.
Like 400 years after Jesus' death?
Yeah.
So
that's why they think it was a crux simplex, but they're wrong about that.
How come I never hear of like truthers and shit out there? We're like, no man, Jesus was not on a lowercase t. God damn it!
Because the Jehovah's Witnesses are, but I don't know. They're just, if they're not on your doorstep, they're not talking to you. I guess I don't know.
So this one knocked on my door.
Yeah.
And my son in the room. We live an atheist lifestyle. And knock on the door. Boom. This man and a boy. Boy was like 8. And he's like, hey, I just want to see if we're having a big event like, in this city, Jehovah's Witness. want to invite you to come out. We'd like to see people come out. And I was just like, no, thanks. We're atheist home. And I looked at the kid. And I said, good luck. I was nice. I didn't say nothing bad. And then my wife was coming home at the same time. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what did you say to them? I'm like, oh, I just said, like, no, thanks. We're atheists, And she's like, that was my friend's husband. Like, my friend was out there. Like, she grew up with that was Jehovah's Witness, like, as a childhood friend.
Oh, man.
I'm like, I didn't say nothing mean. I was just like, that's not for us. You're at the wrong house.
Yeah, you just didn't really afford him any extra respect.
Yeah, it's just like, and I'm not totally into teaching religion to kids.
Yeah,
that's young.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they'll believe anything their parents say. It's not fair. Anyways, but we're not gonna get into that, right? 'Cause we love everyone.
Yeah, I'm cool with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, you can worship all you want.
Witness up.
We're not saying don't.
Yeah,
Just
go to town.
Don't tell me to. Don't knock on my door
Or go ahead, knock. I'm going to tell you I'm not interested, but go for it. Take a crack at me. You never know. You might catch me on a really weird day.
If you had to pick a letter of the English alphabet to be crucified on, what would it be? Would it be letter B?
That's a tough one. You
got to think about comfort, though. Comfort.
I don't want to do what everybody else has done. So, give me a Q.
I do a lowercase n. I'd be like hunched over, like, perfect, dude. I'm like laying here, like lowercase n in it up.
Except they'd probably just make the end bigger so they could put each ankle on one of the points and then your hand straight above you. You're done.
Yeah, my luck, it would be like a 12-foot letter, lowercase n.
Yeah, you get crucified doing the splits.
Thanks for freaking ruining my...
Thanks for trying to game the system, asshole. Now we're going to make it 10 times as bad.
It's like okay, it's a genie in a bottle. I'll give you one wish. I wish that I was... crucified on a lowercase n. Your wish is my command. Boom.
Why would that be a wish?
20 foot. I'm just saying, if you had a genie that could pick your letter.
But you don't ask him for your freedom?
Instead of a 4-foot lowercase n that you could lay on.
It's like 10 feet.
Yeah, it's like death style.
Yeah, it's sort of like a monkey's paw situation. It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, this isn't... Oh, yeah, we got to do claymation. Some of these stories we do on the air with movie plots, we got to claymation that shit, stop motion,
I can't make claymation.
Oh, come on. Just take a picture, move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture. Just keep the thing on a tripod.
I couldn't sculpt a fucking square.
No, we'll print up pictures from the internet, change the models and shit like South Park. It'll be sweet. Simple. Dinner in Hell presents. It'll be like Junk History, but it'll be like an exact rip-off of Junk History.
Yeah.
But it'll not be. It will not be drunk.
Oh, yeah, but I was saying, though, that's what they think, but that's not the case. I mean, I'm not going to say that definitively about the historical Jesus, but we know that the crossbeam existed then because there's a graffito from early in the 1st century found that shows someone crucified with a crossbeam. So they know it existed way before Constantine was around.
Right.
Yeah, that was at a hostel for travelers in Puteoli.
What?
Yeah, they found that graffito there when they discovered the ruin of the hostel. Yeah, they found a graffito that dated from then with a crossbeam. So, sorry. That's the case, though. There were crossbeams.
So that would mean the Jehovah's Witnesses' belief.
That is incorrect. Or it's potentially incorrect. The crossbeam did exist. I'm not going to say for sure Jesus had a crossbeam.
Okay. Jesus had a crossbeam. He's an old friend of mine. Sometimes I just kick into song mode.
Yeah. I love it, though. Never stop.
Don't steal that shit. That's our hook for our next jingle, this Christmas album. It's a Dinner in Hell Christmas. Featuring Nero, featuring King Usher and Usher Paul, King. Dinner in Hell, we should do that. Different people sing on it. And we're like, we are the world. It's like King Archer and Archer Paul, I eat the children. Like our quote memes that we tweeted. All those pictures, we have their mouths. We'll come up with their own. Yeah, I eat suckling baby because I had raisin bowl. Yeah, what's that guy's name?
I mix up. It's either Phalaris or Parallels.
Yeah,
I think Parallels was the inventor.
One of them had suckling baby breath.
Yeah, I think that was Phalaris. That's the long pork.
Yes, dude, was that on your breath? Suckling baby? That's episode 2, Brazen Bull. Tune into that one. Whew. Grab some popcorn.
Yeah, now, you may think that the variations, they did the the straight up pole in this quarter of the empire, and they did the X's, over in Thracia or some shit. But that's not the case. For whatever reason, they just wanted to do it a million different ways. We know that from Seneca the Younger. He was writing about the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, and he saw all kinds of crosses.
Are you talking, when you say Seneca the Younger, you mean the humorist of the Silver Age of Latin literature?
Yes, absolutely. Good pull.
That's how I think of him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the general consensus, I think.
What is he saying?
He saw, after the Romans laid siege to Jerusalem in what was an absolutely horrific affair, and we could probably even touch on later.
Yeah.
Seneca, he described the scene of survivors of that siege, and they were crucified every which way. I mean, you name it. They were on X's and Y's and T's of both capital and lowercase.
Seneca the Younger, he later on was a tutor to Nero. Mm-hmm. And little Seneca the Younger, fun fact, he was forced to take his own life for allegedly trying to conspire to kill Nero.
Oh, no shit. That's him.
Yeah. Seneca the Younger was a tutor to Nero.
Yeah, that was him.
And we all know Nero freaking had this little small group of people called Christians in Nero's time, in our Nero episode. And he
persecuted the shit out of them.
Seneca the Younger.
Yeah, so he described people that were crucified in all the different shapes, some upside down, and this was the real new tidbit that stuck out to me from my research, is some people had sharpened sticks impaled through their genitalia.
That's just freaking bullshit.
It's like adding injury to injury, adding injury and insult to injury and insult already. It just jacks everything up a notch.
Through the front, out the back, out your backside of your body, or just into you?
Mr. the Younger was not clear.
Mr. the Younger didn't freaking keep good notes.
He didn't elucidate. Those were his words, basically.
He wasn't particular detailed.
Yeah, he didn't say. He wasn't and they popped the fucking nuts with it. He didn't go into that kind of detail.
He wasn't detail oriented.
Yeah.
Freaking Seneca. You know who his dad was?
I can't even begin to hazard a guess.
Seneca the Elder.
I should have known from my experience with Pliny's.
We are well versed in Pliny's.
Yeah, and he saw people crucified upside down. Being crucified upside down is a thing in Catholic lore, and it is not a satanic symbol for an upside-down cross. That's called a Petrine cross. And it's called a Petrine cross because that was how St. Peter, the first pope, requested that he be crucified, because he didn't think he was fit to die in the same manner as Jesus Christ.
Wait a second. He chose to be upside down instead because he didn't want to go out like his man Jesus?
Absolutely. He was like, I'm not fit. I'm not good enough to be crucified like Jesus was. So plant me upside down.
Jesus is like, look, man, it's only going to make it worse. Your blood's going to rush to your head. It's going to be real uncomfortable like. He's like, no, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm not worthy.
Well, yeah, you down there. Jesus, he's shaking things up. He shook things up out there, but you continuing his way. I don't take kindly to that around here.
You sound like a mix between your Cajun and your Charles Manson. Cajun Charles Manson.
That's how I imagine, the Sanhedrin of the courts.
We're gonna cover Charles Manson in this near future.
Yeah, we're gonna be on that. Yeah.
Stay tuned for a Charles Manson episode. We're gonna talk about Charles Manson from day one, from birth onward to his adult life, to his musical career, to his killing career, or his cult leading career.
Yeah. Okay, all his, fun desert wanderings. Yeah, we'll get into it.
And we're gonna do it on acid. We hope you. No, I'm just kidding. We hope you do it as well. We're just kidding.
Well,
Please don't.
So it's a St. Peter in front of the Sanhedrin. They are, some good old boys running the courts. It's all the elders, of the community. 23, sometimes as many as 71, that would rule on, religious matters in the community. They tried him twice in front of the Sanhedrin, but he beat both cases. They couldn't make it stick to him. And he continued evangelizing to Jew and Gentile alike. Traveling all over Rome, telling everybody about his boy Jesus.
I looked up definition of Gentile.
Mm-hmm.
Any person who is not a Jew.
Yeah, that's what it means. Sort of like it's like their equivalent to Romans calling everybody else barbarians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn, surrounded by Gentiles over here.
They're like, a bunch of Gentiles.
Get your Gentile hands off me. I wish, goddamn it, I was at the hospital the other day. Why is every doctor Gentile?
Yeah.
Goddamn Gentiles.
Yeah, they're driving.
Chill out. Gentiles are people too, bro.
Yeah.
Chill, Jew.
That's right. Some of
Jew
us
better calm down.
Some of us might not be circumcised, but that
Jew do you think,
bother you?
Jew did you think Jew are?
Who do you think?
I already beat you, bro. Sorry, got the Jew switcheroo. Switch a Jew. We love everyone.
Who are you
We're here
gonna
to
call
have fun.
if you need a light switch turned on in the middle of the Sabbath? Because it's not going to be a Jew. It's going to be a Gentile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
They're
it's
the only
Shabbos.
ones. Yeah.
Guess who's doing the work on Shabbos?
Gentiles.
You're welcome. Boom.
Yeah. We're working through your Sabbath. So just don't oppress us.
Thank you for the great movies. Seriously, thank you.
To be clear,
I freaking love
I
movies.
don't think Jewish people are oppressing anyone.
But I do think they control Hollywood because, yeah. I don't know. Just kidding.
Yeah, so, but, eventually his evangelizing gets old, because he was continuing Jesus' work, and as you'll come to find out, and you may not suspect, Jesus was kind of like a renegade.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Peter's continuing Jesus' work, which, wouldn't seem like, going around talking about Jesus doesn't seem like renegade work today, but it was then. And nobody liked this. Peter wasn't making a lot of friends. So, King Herod chucks him in jail. And it's said in the gospel that he's rescued by an angel. But we know that's not true. Because angels don't exist.
Hark. There are no herald angels singing.
Angels in the Outfield was not a documentary.
There is no archaeological proof that halos exist.
Every time a bell rings, that's it. A bell just rings. Like this.
Snow angels are actually snow bats.
So King Herod had him in jail, and the gospel says he's rescued by an angel. But what that may actually refer to is his execution by this crucifixion upside down. Now, it's possible that happened, and that's what the gospel is referring to, but even the gospels at this point in time switch their focus from Peter to Paul, generally. So we don't know a ton, even from the gospels, about his later life. There's nothing from history. Although the other possibility is that he was executed some 15 years later under Dinner in Hell all-star Nero. Yeah, he's already come up once or twice in this, and if you want to hear some more fucked up shit about history, that is a great episode to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think Jesus would have been too peeved at Peter, because, he was like his most beloved apostle and shit. I don't think he would have been too peeved at him if he would have just gone normal style, gotten, a vanilla crucifixion. I don't think he would have been like, dick move, Pete.
What's your problem, dick?
Yeah, Jesus would have been cool about it. No worries. Yeah,
Jesus is like, man.
Maybe he appreciated the gesture,
Jesus is like, if you would like, Jesus is like, if you'd like, I'll choke you right now. I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, for mercy. Like, I could heal you. Well, do you really want that? I mean, look, you're upside down. You're losing fluids here. Your shoulders
Jesus beams down for it.
Jesus is like, your shoulders are dislocating. Listen, be honest. Let me suffocate you, bro. I'm just kidding. Here I am talking about Jesus' blood on his hands.
He starts slowly pulling out a ball-peen hammer out of his robes.
He's like, in my name, instead of in Jesus' name. He's like, in my own actual name. Let me accept your body. I don't know.
For all its flaws.
Here's a secret. I don't think of any of you guys as sinners. No one's a sinner. I just want everyone to know that. Because they're like supposed to be born a sinner. Right?
Yeah.
Until you're like saved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's make sure I got that down.
Now, I think we should take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about the nail situation. For a long time, there was a false belief that the nails went, boom, straight through the palm.
Right.
Yeah, that couldn't be true because that can't support a human's weight.
Right. It would tear through your little crappy little hand bones.
And that's why, stigmata is nonsense.
Oh, the people that think their hands are bloody.
Yeah, they...
in the fountain, the blood, in the water.
Yeah, they cut their own palms open. That's what they did.
Who doesn't do that like once in their teen years?
Yeah, when you really, really want some attention.
Yeah, when you're like, I hate my dad. I love freaking the 9-inch. I love 9-inch nails. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people that love 9-inch nails, right?
I dig them. I think Jesus probably has, doesn't want to, to get into that. It's probably a sore spot. Yeah, so, however, after that, there's a false belief that also developed that it was impossible that they went through the hands. As I just said, I fooled you. Sorry. But it is possible. There are some indications that what may have occurred is that the nail was driven through the palm near the thumb, through the carpal tunnel of the victim, and exiting out the back of the wrist into the wood. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know. I play percussion from time to time, and I spend a lot of time on the computer. So I can get some sore wrists. I don't even want to imagine a big monster nail being driven through my carpal tunnel. That sounds like a living nightmare to me.
How sanitary you think that nail is?
Not. Exactly not.
Yeah.
They didn't even have germ theory.
It's got bird shit on it.
What it was.
The end of it's got just covered in bird shit from crosses past. Crucifixions past.
Yeah, God, that is terrifying.
Can you at least clean off the seagull shit, please?
Yeah, and the miscommunication, I think, is from a interesting result because the Bible is originally translated from ancient Greek. So, what the problem is that ancient Greek only had one word for everything from the elbow down. So, say for example that they called that whole part of the body the hand. So they just said the nails went through the hand, which could mean anything from the elbow down, which is generally the case. Generally, what they think the nails were put through your forearm in between the radius and the ulna. That'll hold you up.
Okay. Which is the ulna?
I don't remember.
Okay, because this is like fibia and tibia, right?
Fibia and tibia is in your leg. This is radius and ulna. I think the radius is the big one. The ulna is the little one.
These two wrist bones.
Yes.
The two. Okay, gotcha. I have another variation that I found in my research.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were saying like, oh, the freaking the nails through the palms, it couldn't be because the weight, like we were talking about. They're saying that they would stretch the hands back around the cross beams over the back like this, dude. So they're pounded through like this, through the top of the hand, through the palm, into the back of the crossboard. So they're like butterflying it with their ribs out.
Yeah,
that is how they would do it through the palm and hold the body up.
That does not seem. I don't know which one's worse.
That just jazzed it up a little bit, a little dash of.
Yeah, it's like
cayenne.
You don't know which one you're going to get. This truly is like the grab bag of execution methods. Yeah, Ron, did you see the clock?
I just looked up and saw that, we're running a little long here.
Yeah, we knew this was going to be a big episode. We didn't think it'd be quite this big, but we're out of time for this episode. We're going to have to split this one into 2 parts.
We bit off a little more we could chew with this one.
Yeah, band, go ahead. Let her rip.
Our stomachs, our appetite was a little bit hungrier than our eyes or something like that.
Something along those lines. But we've got more coming back. We're going to get the story of Jesus of Nazareth out there next time.
Traditions, different cultures that use the crucifixions all the way to modern day.
Yeah, there's a lot to come in the follow-up.
Thank you to the band.
Thank you. They sound great. Sorry we couldn't get the ending just right. They're usually razor tight, but they're playing it. They sound good now. Damn, sound good.
So check out part 2. Continue the saga.
Yeah, and until then, please don't forget to get at us. We are on Twitter at Dinner in Hell Pod. You can email us at dinnerinhellpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube. Please don't forget to, rate and subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for listening. Good to be back, Ron.
Good to be back, Brad. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.